hello, and welcome to another edition of Shine, a show created to inspire you by highlighting other men and women who are showing up and shining their light. I'm your host, confidence coach, Dorothy-Inez, and I'm so excited to have you. And I'm so excited to have my guest today. We are going to be talking about living and building your business abroad. We're going to talk about tapping into your feminine essence. I'm so excited. If you know someone who could benefit from this conversation, I want to invite you to like, share this out, and stay tuned as me and my guest, Candice Smith, talk about some juicy stuff today. So stay tuned. So are you ready? Are you ready for today's topic? Let me jump right in and tell you about our amazing guest, Miss Candice Smith. Candice is a mother, a two-time published author, teacher, beauty professional, of course, that's why we kick it, an entrepreneur. She's born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. Candice has traveled to and lived in more than 4 countries, speaks 4 languages. Yes, 4 languages. She's passionate about family excellence, femininity, motherhood, international travel, and being the best version of herself. Candice has mentored numerous women on how to build their business, heal their hearts, fall into their femininity, and perfect their talents. Currently, she lives in Istanbul, and I can't wait to share with you all, for you all to just hear her story, how she got to Istanbul, where she and her family own property and use the property to create short-term rental income. She's also the founder of Fearless Freedom, a program designed to help women relocate and purchase property abroad and travel for medical tourism. I had to ask her, I was like, girl, what is medical tourism? So she's going to explain that to us. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to my beautiful sister, my friend, and my, what do you call it? Fellow coach, Miss Candice Smith.
Hey!
Welcome.
Hello, Miss Dorothy-Inez.
Hey, see, Candice and I, this is actually, I have to tell you all, this is actually Candice and I's first time speaking since we attended the Art of Feminine Presence training. When was that, Candice?
Wow, that had to be, I want to say 2016 or 17.
Yeah, was it in Denver?
It was in Denver. It was in Denver.
Yep. And we were talking about our dreams and stuff.
Yes.
You and I connected right away, and we've stayed in touch ever since.
Ever since.
You know, our hearts just connected. And so
yes.
It's just so good to see you and to just watch your growth. So first of all, before we jump in, when you started with this thing, you put this term out I'd never heard of, expat. What does expat mean? Because I guess you're an expat now.
So I'm an expat.
Mm-hmm.
Expat is actually short for expatriate. So a person that expatriates from their country, either they leave their country or they permanently or temporarily. It's a little controversial, actually, in some circles because some people don't feel comfortable using the term immigrant. Immigrant.
Oh, okay.
They don't want to call themselves an immigrant. Okay. So it's expatriate, to expatriate. So that is short. That's what expat means. And it's simply a person that lives abroad for an extended period of time outside of their home country.
Got it. Now, what's the medical tourism? Do I need to become a medical tourist?
You may want to become a medical tourist. A medical tourist is a person who travels to seek a quality, low cost, not necessarily low cost, but travels for medical care.
Mm,
Sometimes different countries offer certain medical treatments and procedures that may not be available in their home country.
got it.
Also, if they, some people travel for medical tourism because they're seeking low cost medical treatment. And that the latter is often the most popular reason for medical tourism. For me, I actually became a medical tourist because I was having a health crisis when I was in the States.
Mm-hmm.
I was suffering from unknown symptoms, and my glands under my throat were swollen very large. Also, my glands above my eyes were swollen. The doctors really didn't know what was going on.
Mm,
And I was a small business owner, so I paid for my own insurance. I didn't have the luxury of working for a company that was paying for my insurance. As you all know, insurance in the States is very costly.
yes.
So it got to the point where I lapsed on my insurance and I couldn't get the medical service that I needed. I was like in my doctor's office bawling, like hysterically crying, and they wouldn't see me because they're like, if you don't have insurance and it comes out that you have something very serious, we know you can't get treatment.
Mm,
So what I did is, this was around the time I left for Italy, and I got into the public healthcare system there.
mm-hmm.
And I actually flew to Germany because I found out I had sarcoidosis, which is primarily a pulmonary condition. It's an autoimmune disease,
Mm,
primarily pulmonary. And I was in Berlin. I found a specialist that spoke English, highly educated, and everything. And so the entire service, I was there for 2 days. I got X-rays. I saw her. I talked to the technician. I got my prescription, and I think everything came to be, I want to say like 200 US dollars,
wow.
maybe a little less. And
Wow.
so as I'm checking out, the receptionist, she looks at me and she says, "You really should get on the public healthcare system so you don't have to pay so much." And I started laughing so hard,
So you
Dorothy
start thinking about
Inez.
what it would cost here.
Yes, I mean, the medical service that I received and the quality of care, I would have easily gone into debt like $10,000, $15,000 in
Mm,
the States. And so from that point on, it really made me look at, living in Europe made me look at medical access to medical care a little differently. And I strongly feel that having access to quality health care is a human rights issue. And everyone should have access to low cost quality health care. And so I had to leave the States in order to get
mm.
quality health care. And so I'm a big advocate for women doing the same.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for explaining that.
Yes.
I had no idea about it. That kind of, a lot of women like, and I guess going to like Mexico would qualify. And
Yes, absolutely.
because I
And
see a lot of women going to like Mexico to get treatments for like Lyme's disease and
yes,
different autoimmune disorders that they just don't treat here in the US. Or if they do, like you said, it's an arm and a leg to get that treatment in.
absolutely. And Mexico in particular is really popular for dentistry. So a lot of people cross the border, especially when they live in the southern parts of the US. They
Mm-hmm.
cross the border in order to receive very low cost dental care. And then there are other forms of medical tourism, like traveling for cosmetic surgery, hair transplants, breast implants, BBLs, you name it. People travel for medical tourism. It's a big industry.
Wow, wow. Yeah, I have a girlfriend who actually she's a concierge for this type of stuff where she goes and she goes and gets work done herself, and then she comes back and she's helping other women and men find good doctors for things like that. So, yeah,
Amazing.
interesting. So let's get to this story because, like you said, you started in Italy. You
In
left
Italy.
US and you went to Italy, and then I was watching you. You were like, you went to Turkey, and COVID happened. And then tell us what happened.
Girl,
So
when
you were
I
living
left,
in Italy,
I was
and then
living
you
in
traveled to
Italy
Turkey, and COVID happened. Tell
and
us
COVID
the story.
happened. So when I left Rome, because I was in Rome, when I left Rome, life was normal.
Mhm.
Life was completely normal. There was not cap. Everything was normal about life. We had heard about COVID, but it was like, whatever, I'm not really thinking about it that much. So I had only planned on coming to Turkey for 10 days. I was here to check out and make connections for the medical tourism industry. And I was like, I always wanted to go to Istanbul. So let me just check out the scene, see what's new. And, I was really excited just for this vacation. My mother had come and taken my daughter back to Florida so I could just be by myself and travel solo. So about 4 days into my trip, the Turkish government canceled all flights to and from Italy. And I was like, oh, wow, this is real.
And
And it
Italy
was,
was shut down too.
and then, yes, exactly. And they were like, due to COVID, we're shutting all flights, canceling all flights to and from Italy. And then 3 days after that, the Italian government shut down the entire country. So extreme lockdown. No one could enter or leave. And I was officially stuck in Istanbul. So I always tell people I'm kind of like a COVID-19 refugee in Istanbul.
That's a good way to put it.
Right. I was a COVID-19 refugee here in Istanbul. And so we had about 3 or 4 weeks where life was still open here in Istanbul, in Turkey, before the government decided to go into a lockdown. So during that time, I was really able to just really get a feel for the city. Istanbul is a beautiful city. I had actually said to my mother before she left and went back to Florida, I said, I don't really know if I'm going to be in Italy much longer. I don't know why I get that feeling. I was like, but I just need something very powerful in the universe to put me in the place where I need to be. And so I really feel like that was the powerful something in the universe.
That was very powerful. Okay.
That was extremely powerful, girl. You got to watch your words. You got to watch your words.
Mhm.
But, I decided, I was like, wow, it's much more affordable here. I can leverage making US dollars to live quite comfortably here. And so I decided that instead of trying to go back and make it happen another year in Rome, that I would just move to Istanbul. And so I moved forward with my plans of purchasing property and getting residency here. And it's been quite the journey. I mean, a beautiful journey, but quite the journey still. So that's how I ended up in Istanbul, and I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah. Oh, you look like you're enjoying yourself. I watch all your exotic adventures. And I just remember, like I was telling you before we went live, like I was watching you and you were over there. And I think you were staying in a hostel or something
Yes.
first. And I was like, oh my God, I've got to watch my girl. I got to make sure nobody captures her.
Now, I will admit that part of town was a little sketchy, especially at night. But,
Yeah.
I can say overall, Istanbul is pretty safe. It's a
Mhm.
pretty safe, definitely safer than in the US for sure. And I get a lot of people. That's the number one question that I get from Americans is it safe? Like, am I going to be safe? And I can say that overwhelmingly it's safe. Yes, like any major city, of course, there are going to be areas and pockets that, you need to be a little bit careful in, but I mean, I feel very safe, like in my neighborhood. Like I can walk out at, night and I don't feel uncomfortable or anything. And so, yes.
Yeah, I remember that. I grew up in Germany, and I always tell people, I don't know what it's like now, but I remember coming from the club 4 a.m. after hanging, and I didn't have the worries that I have here walking at
Right.
4 a.m. And I would walk through the red light district to get to the train station, and I didn't have the kind of worries I'd have doing that same act in the US. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
totally different vibe overseas. So let me
So
ask you,
different.
how did you get the courage to, live abroad? My question is, who did you have to become, and believe to be able to do this, and especially to do it by yourself? I mean, did you know people? From what I saw, it looked like you just went alone. Tell us that.
I am clearly a risk taker.
Yes,
um, I
I
am clearly a risk taker. It's kind of funny because I have been traveling um, transatlantic trips to Europe over the course of a few years.
know.
And I think when I went to Spain, the first time I went to Spain, I was like, okay, I definitely want to try to do this at least part time, because at the time I still had my salon in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had started the process of contacting an immigration attorney in Spain and putting forth the paperwork to get our visas to live in Spain initially, because I was like, well, I speak Spanish. Spanish is like my strong second language. So I was like, that would be the no-brainer, like go where I can
Right.
speak the language and I can flow. And then I went to Barcelona and I did my sabbatical in Barcelona. I stayed there for a month and then I went to Paris. And I was like, okay, I know I want to do this, but I don't think Barcelona is the place where I want to be. It just, something about it wasn't really resonating.
Right.
After I came back home from Paris, I actually had a trip planned to Rome with my friend.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of like, like meh about the whole trip. I was like, I always wanted to go to Italy, but I was like, kind of like, just kind of wanted to like unpack my suitcases, throw myself back into my work. But I went anyways. I went to Rome
Mm-hmm.
and I fell in love instantaneously.
Mm-hmm.
We stayed there for about 10 days. And
Uh-huh.
by day 4, I looked at my friend. I was like, I'm moving here. That's it. That's it. So there really was no, I think, real preparation for me.
Right.
I think it was just one of those moments where I realized like I have to make this move and I
Mm-hmm.
have to make it now. It was deeply intuitive. It was a deeply intuitive decision and I do not regret it at all. Like I literally came back. I told my mom, I was like, listen, I'm moving to Italy. I told my daughter, listen, we're moving to Italy.
She's like, okay, mom.
She's like, okay, I'm a little nervous, but okay, and it's just been a wonderful, wonderful journey. I mean, Italy in particular, obviously, I have much more experience there. I was there for 2 years, and it was pre-COVID.
Right.
So Italy just was so amazing for me. It was, my neighborhood was very Italian.
Mm-hmm.
All the families out on Sundays, all the old Italian ladies that get together every morning to have their cappuccino and their croissants in the morning, and they would just dote on my daughter. And, oh,
Mm-hmm.
bella, bella, oh, like they're just like they just they just loved on my daughter so much, so much. And it was just such a beautiful experience for me. And I think as far as like who I had to become, I think that move was a culmination of all that I had become up
Mm-hmm.
until that point. Just living and thriving in my feminine, um, really honing in on my confidence,
Mm-hmm.
and I think just stepping out on a lot of faith, because I realized something had to change in my life. And then I realized in life that sometimes when you want something different, you truly have to do something radically different.
Right.
And I am very open about one of my motivating factors for moving was to improve my love life, my dating life, which definitely did increase moving to Italy. I think I dated more in Italy than I have in my entire adult life.
I remember those times. I had a couple of Italian boyfriends when I lived in Germany.
Yeah, so it was one of those things where I had a breakfast date, lunch date, dinner date. I
Wow.
actually was like, oh my god, I'm serious. I dated a lot. I dated a lot in Italy, and it was such a great experience for me all the way around. And that, I think, that further boosted my confidence. Um, Obviously, when you're trying to navigate living abroad, um, you have to find out the semantics, like, okay, how can I legally stay in the country? What are
Right.
the different options for me? Where are the best neighborhoods? Especially me traveling with my daughter who has autism and cerebral palsy and two little dogs.
Did you bring
So
your dogs over there?
I did. And my dogs actually, girl, my dogs just got here from Italy a month ago.
Wow.
We
Who's
were
been watching them?
we were separated due to COVID, and they were with my dog sitter in Italy the entire time.
Oh, wow.
And so that was a whole process in and of itself, just getting reunited with them, because I had to get their EU doggy passports. I had to find someone that would be willing to fly them over here to Turkey and that whole spiel. So yes, we just got reunited like a month ago, and they're super happy.
Oh, wow. That is just wonderful. You mentioned a couple of things. Your sister here works with women around the area of confidence, and I know you
Yes.
do it as well in a different way. So, what were some of the things you did, Candace, to develop yourself around the area of confidence? What were some things that you were doing that developed your confidence so that you could do this?
I think, for so many years, Dorothy-Inez, I just really suffered from low self-esteem. And so my whole journey has been one of self-love. It's been just a beautiful journey of love and the unfolding. And I think one of the biggest things that I did for confidence is, one, learn how to shut out the voices of others. Because sometimes, and you have to change your social circle. So for me, it was just like aligning myself with positive people, really hearing my own voice, getting quiet and getting still to hear my own voice, and understanding who I was as a person. What did I feel most passionate about? What was authentic to me? And when I got really clear about those things, I think those were some of the factors that gave me the confidence push that I needed to just step out on that faith and just make the move. Because, like, literally, I made the move. And the beautiful thing about it is, when you walk out on faith and you have that confidence, the universe supports you.
Yeah.
So I remember when I went back to get my visa, people were telling me all sorts of things like, oh, they don't approve everybody for their Italian visa. And it just depends on where you go, which immigration office you go to. And so I went in. Of course, I was dressed to the
Of
nine. I
course.
had I had my daughter, in her pretty little dress looking cute, and I
Uh,
had all my papers organized. He looks at me when he saw how organized I had my paperwork, and they had like little tabs on them and everything. He looks at me like, she really wants to go to Italy. So
My girl
he's
was
like,
ready.
she is ready. She is 110% ready. He looks at me. He takes my passports. He says, okay. I was thinking we were going to have some kind of formal interview process. That did not happen for me. I literally got my visa approval to go to Italy 3 days later. And every single person that I have talked to says they have never, ever heard of anybody getting their visa approved that quickly. Like, I literally went there on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and I got my visa and my passports back on that Saturday.
Wow. Wow.
And so I say, like, when you really step out on that faith, the universe supports you. And I think even when those things happen, it's just confirmation that you can trust yourself, you can trust your intuition, and you can move boldly in life. And that is even what gave me the confidence to move here, to make the decision to stay in Istanbul and buy property here.
Wow. So you girls, if you're listening in on this, she just dropped some serious nuggets. She said it started with self-love, and then shutting out the voices of others, because a lot of times, you know, those voices of others, they'll have you all confused. And imagine if you had even just taken in, like, people will tell you stuff based on their experience and it didn't even happen to you, you know?
No.
So, you know, you could have bought into the negativity. Change your social circle. We hear it all the time, but it's very powerful. And learn to listen to your own voice, your own, and the voice of your higher self. And understanding, getting to know who you are is what, these are all things that lead you to being confident. This was so, so good. So, one of the things about you that I know, that's why we were in the art of feminine presence, is that you're all about tapping into that feminine energy, that feminine essence, getting into ourselves.
Yes.
Tell us, how can women who have been so caught up in the do, get caught up in their feminine?
I think the best way is just to fall back, adapt some feminine embodiment practices in your daily routine, and to slowly create a consciously feminine lifestyle, which that is one thing that I did when I moved to Italy. I mean, first and foremost, Italy makes it very easy,
right,
to fall into your feminine for a variety of reasons, because the lifestyle is not as rushed, but you can still implement some of those things into your day just by listening to your own heart and your body. Like, when I wake up in the morning, I ask myself, okay, how am I really feeling? Do I feel like I need maybe a few more minutes of sleep? Do I feel like having a tea? Maybe I want to journal some. What are ways that I can support myself? That's what I literally, how can I support myself today? And I do those things. Maybe supporting myself is just a nice cup of tea and some scrambled eggs and just, looking out of the window and meditation. But learning to do those things and learning to say no. Learning to don't take on more than you can chew. No is a complete sentence. N-O, no. Learn to say no. Don't take on more. That if it feels overwhelming, then listen to that and say no. And then I think creating balance by getting a support team of sister friends and family that can support you. Sometimes it's hard, especially if you have children, but I have kind of trained my daughter to understand this lifestyle that I'm creating for us. Because when mommy is right, everything in the house is right. So
it's true.
It is teaching quiet time, asking the kids to help you do things. Like I tell my daughter, like, we're a team, we're a family, we help each other. So, help me. I'll cook breakfast. You make the table. You set the table. So, little things like that, I think add up, and you can create a beautiful lifestyle just embodying various feminine principles into your day-to-day life.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, because again, we get so caught up in the doing of life. And women, I started my coaching business as a self-love and beauty coach. When you met me, what I was doing.
Yes.
I learned that so many women, they lose themselves in their roles, and then they wonder, why am I so, stressed out? Why can't I do, why don't I know what I'm here to do? And a big part is they've forgotten themselves. And it's so important, like you're saying, that
Absolutely.
I call it the sacred no practice,
Absolutely.
is I will give clients that assignment, clients that struggle with, balance, is just say no, even though you may have the time in your schedule, just say no,
Yes.
and so create, and then like you're saying, creating that support system,
Absolutely.
and bringing beauty into your life, like you're saying,
Absolutely.
that cup of tea. And I love when I see you, you're always in some super sexy environment. I watch you cook, cooking beautiful meals for yourself,
Yes.
just bringing beauty to every aspect of your life. And that's what I watch you, doing in your stories. You guys got to follow. Candace has left me on Facebook. I was like, I reached out to her. I said, girl, where are you? Are you okay? She said, girl, I'm over on Instagram now in
Yes.
Clubhouse. Now I'm too good for Facebook.
Well, part of it was just I was stretching myself so thin on social media. So I had to make that decision.
Right.
Like, okay, which two platforms am I going to focus most of my attention on? And that's producing a lot of fruit for me so that I can stay, active on social media and people can still see my journey. But I love the way you say that, adding beauty. And that's exactly what I love to do. I love to make everyday moments elegant and special.
Yep.
Don't bring out the good china for a special occasion. Every day you wake up is special. Use those, beautiful cutlery, plates, flowers. Like I have fresh flowers delivered to my house weekly, and I kind of spread the bouquet out around the house so that I can have beautiful flowers, incense, candles, special teas that I have.
Yep.
And it's all a part of creating that juiciness of life that makes it beautiful.
Yeah, a friend and I were talking today about living from the future self, and bringing in the luxury that we want to have now in our life, not waiting for it to show up. It's available right now.
Absolutely.
And so this is a really good reminder and affirmation for me of what I'm thinking right now, because I'm in this space of doing some, taking myself to that next level, because we have to start, vibrating at that place now where we want to go, we attract in that vision.
Absolutely.
So that's what I hear you saying. So what would you say, Candace, to the woman who's considering living and working abroad? What would you say to her? And what are some things she should consider? You mentioned a few earlier.
Absolutely. First, I say just go for it. Go for it. Like,
trust your intuition.
Yes, just trust your intuition and go for it, because I feel like everything that's beautiful in life is on the other side of whatever we're fearful of. So the beauty and magic of life is on the opposite side of fear. And I think some of the things that you should consider are: consider the lifestyle, that the type of lifestyle that you want to live. Consider your personal values. Consider things like climate. I think those are very important. Also consider your love life. Like, do you feel like you want to be married? Are you in a stage where you're just dating? Are you in your childbearing years and you feel like you want to have children? All of those are important things to consider, because each country on the planet and each region has various values that may or may not be in alignment with whatever you are looking for in your life. For me, I always say, like, in Europe, like, they have, like, I'm a marriage minded woman and I want to get married. I really don't see myself living with a man for years on end and then getting married down the road. So I knew that at some point, like, I was going to have to leave Europe and possibly go somewhere where marriage is more a part of the culture, and
Right.
men are more marriage minded, which for me, that's one great thing about being here in Turkey. Like, I feel like I found a good cultural match with Turkish men. Like, I feel like, okay, I really meet a lot of Turkish men that I click with. I
Mhm.
find them very handsome, and our family values are very much in alignment. So I don't have to, I don't feel like I have to deviate from who I am authentically the way I did when I was dating in Europe, because in Europe, many of the countries have a culture of cohabitation.
Mm.
And, it's not uncommon for couples to live together um, for years on end. And then maybe or maybe not, they may get married. But many countries, like I said, marriage is just not that big of a deal. And that feels so ambiguous for me.
Mhm.
So
Feels
I was
very
like,
American.
eh, America is becoming more like that. America really is becoming more like that. I still say that America is more marriage minded than Europe,
Mm.
believe it or not.
Really?
Yes, yeah, it is. But um, I think knowing those things off of the bat are important, because I meet a lot of women on their expat journey, and they are really having a difficult time. And when I listen to them, I realize one of the reasons why they're having a difficult time in a particular area is because their personal value set is not in alignment with the culture in which they are living in, and that's creating friction.
Mm.
So I think those are important things to consider.
So one thing you mentioned is how do you find other expats, other Americans over in these countries? Are there groups?
There are groups, but one thing that how I build community abroad is I build community abroad on like a 3-tier, what I call a 3-tier community layer. So I do have there are various expat groups. A lot of them are on Facebook,
Mhm.
so you can always join those. And you can find many Americans who live abroad. I also try to connect with locals, and because I think it's important to try to understand the culture you're living in, and you can only do that really if you're connected with the people that actually are from here. And then also just other expats from different countries. And
Mhm.
so when you do that, you have a experience that is very enriching, because you have all of this different cultural input, and you're sharing, and it's just a beautiful circle and flow of relationships. So I really enjoy that about the expat lifestyle.
Yeah, I really that was one of the things I loved about growing up in Europe, is just being exposed to all different. Like I told you, I dated two Turkish, I dated Yugoslavian, and then I just had so many friends from different cultures
Right.
that, just like you're saying, enrich your life, because you learn, to be in more diverse environments, versus a lot of Americans tend to be in their community and just
Right.
stay in that community. Whereas living abroad is so enriching. So I love
Absolutely.
what I'm hearing. And you brought up some things that I think a lot of women wouldn't think about. Like you said, values. Think about, how does this country align with your values? And then what do you want long term in terms of a
Right.
love life? That's important. Do you want
Yes.
are you okay with marrying a Turkish person or Italian person? Because that's what you're going to be surrounded with. So that's really, really, all these things are great. So I've just really enjoyed having you on today. How can the men and women today stay connected with you?
Sure. You all can follow me on Instagram. It's loving_you_lifestyle and the number 2. So loving you lifestyle number 2 on Instagram. I'm also on Clubhouse. It's at Fearless Freedom. And then you can also email me, which is blissfulfemininity@gmail.com. And if you go to my Instagram, all my links are there, including my website. And I just feel free to inbox me on Instagram, because I love connecting with people who are interested in living the expat lifestyle, especially making it sustainable. I did not add that in, but figuring out how to make the lifestyle sustainable, because you want to obviously be able to sustain yourself and eat when you're abroad. But for me, the women who work with me, I don't want them just to survive. I want them to thrive abroad. So I also teach things like multiple streams of income, etc. But feel free to just inbox me on Instagram or shoot me an email. I'd be happy to connect with any of you guys.
Awesome. What I'll invite you to do, Candace, is drop that info in the comments on our feed today, so that people can find you, because you definitely want to follow.
Sure.
Her journey is very, very inspiring. Her stories are inspiring. And now I know where to go, because she ain't on Facebook stories.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like, where did she go?
I know,
So,
it's
Candace,
so funny.
I'm going to have you wait backstage for me. Thank you again.
Okay, no problem.
Much. And you all show Candace some love. Drop in the comments what you took away from today's session. She is just an amazing woman that you want to stay connected with. And I really hope that those of you watching, whether it's on the live today or the replay, I hope you took away some inspiration from Candace, because it takes a lot of courage and it takes a lot of confidence to go live in another country by yourself, and then to take your family, your children on top of that. So I want to invite you next week to join me. It's going to be my final show for this season, so to speak. I'm going to have Kat Kim. Kat Kim is also a confidence coach. Kat Kim is also going to be, I believe, relocating to Istanbul. So we're going to talk about that, and just talk about, she has a podcast called The Unsermon. And so she's quite spicy, quite flavorful. So I want to invite you to join me next week for my guest, Miss Kat Kim. And until then, keep on shining.